Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester.
And I'm John Rush.
And we're in the last Friday of April, and we're glad you're here. Got a great show lined up. We got some giveaways, and also have that famous Friday fishing forecast. So let's get started with our weather. Brought to us by Haney Tactical Center. High today will be 81, low tonight 63, and water temperature 71. It's been like that, ironically, now for 3 or 4 days, John. What you got on the marine forecast?
Marine forecast, you've got a northeast wind around 15 to 20 knots, becoming east around 10 knots in the afternoon. Seas are going to be 2 to 4 feet, and then going over to 2 to 3 feet. And your bay is going to be pretty choppy until later in the afternoon. Okay,
it's going to be a little bit choppy. Now let's take a look at our tide, our river readings first. Our river readings right here, the Apalachicola, Bluntstown, it is still high, folks. It has, gotten out of the action stage, but it's dropped a little bit. For the weekend now, it's going to be pretty steady, right around 9 feet. It's reading this morning at a 9.1, staying steady. Now the Choctawhatchee at Caryville, it's reading, it's dropping out too. It's going. It's all the way down to 6.8. It's dropped below 7 foot now, but again for the weekend, both rivers are going to be real steady. Not a lot of movement on them as far as dropping, so it's going to be it's still high. It's hard to catch some of those fish on high water.
That looks about the lowest I've seen it since I've been here.
Well, yeah, the Apalachicola has been really low, up until I think when you got here it started going up.
Yeah, it's been pretty high.
Okay, take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemeteries. Greg Brudnick and his staff over there. We're looking at a high tide at 9:40 this morning. High tide at 9:40 and a low tide at 7:56. And that's our tide chart for there. Now, just got off on with Sea Quarters Marine. I'd like to give them a mention every Friday morning. Talk to Kim down there, and she gave me a really good fishing report, and I'll follow up with that later on in the show. But I want to say, before we close this section out, I want to say a special happy birthday to Coach Richard Post. He's celebrating his 90th birthday today. Coach Richard Post has taught so many of you folks out there to watch the show. They named the gym after him at Jinks Middle School. Wow. It used to be Jinks Junior High for many, many years. But happy birthday, Coach Post.
Happy birthday.
He's a good man. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Sitting here with John. This is John's next to last day with us, and we're glad to. I know everybody will be crying and gnashing their teeth when you leave, but we'll talk about it on the last show on Monday. We'll talk about all the good things and all that he's had experience. Let me mention the Liberty County Flathead Catfish Tournament. This is part of that 4 tournaments they have. It's going to be this weekend. Actually, it starts tonight. And you fish with those things at night, with live brim and all. It's going to be starting at 5 o'clock at the Bristol Boat Landing, and it benefits the Liberty County Senior Citizens organization up there. So Aaron Carter sent me some information. He'll be there. It'll be today and tomorrow.
How big of a catfish is going to be pulled out for that?
I would say somewhere between 30 and 40 pound range. It'll be interesting, and that's going to be fun. And the next one will be June the 28th and 29th down in Weewall, but this one is going to be there at Bristol. Got a lot of folks up there be going at it. Be good food and good fun just sitting at a boat ramp watching them come in. Okay? John, we got a couple of pictures. Let's see what we got. This was, now I showed a picture the other day. It looked a lot like this because it's an 80-pounder, but this is different now. Okay, Katie Sutherland, who's our science department head, she sent this to me. Actually, brought it down to me, and got my email. And from left to right, this was called Monday afternoon. From left to right, that's John Blue on the left. There's her husband in the middle, David McCurdy, and on the far right is Andy Kelly. And they call that a Monday afternoon. That is a nice cobia right there.
That's a big cobia.
It sure is. Good job, guys, and appreciate Katie coming down and sharing that picture. All right, let's see. What's our next picture here? We got on this one here. We got just a mess of crappie. Okay, I still call them speckled perch. Nice speckled perch is called. And also we somebody sent it to me. If you got a good idea for a mailbox. I just thought it was a cute idea. I hadn't seen that one, so I'm going to just share that with you. Good job there on that. Okay, I got this yesterday afternoon. I actually got it last night. Surf fishing. I can't tell who this is. Surf fishing with 10-pound test line. 10-pound test line. And we'll get that ID'd, but that was sent to me last night, so that happened yesterday afternoon. 10-pound test line caught. That's a nice red.
That was a big red for pompano fishing.
Yeah, you know, I've heard of more redfish caught this year on gotcha plugs
Yeah.
than I ever have, I think.
It's been happening a lot.
Have you seen that appear?
Yeah, lots. I haven't. I'm glad I haven't, but I've seen a lot of other people that have.
You know, some of my students that went out this past week, they had a break from school because the underclassmen were FCAT testing, so a lot of them went fishing. Went out of State Park to jetties, and they were fishing for Spanish because they felt comfortable fishing for Spanish. They caught like 6 pompano with a gotcha plug.
Really?
With a gotcha plug. And
Man.
I tell you, they said they caught them at dark. And I said, wait a minute, you caught them at dark? And they said, well, it was right before dark.
Mm-hmm.
And cause it's hard to catch pompano when at nighttime, but this is late in the afternoon, right before dark, fishing off the jetties there. So it's been a good week. What about you? What all have you done?
I've just been fishing.
You've been fishing?
Lots of it.
Okay. All right.
Lots of kayak and lots of pier.
Okay. Well, we're going to go and take a break. We're going to get ready to do our final giveaway for rod and reel. Also, we're going to have our giveaway for the Tarpon Dock Seafood, and then we're going to come back to the last section, of course, to do our famous Friday fishing forecast. So go ahead, let's take this break here, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. We're going to, next week, one day next week, I'm not sure which day, we're going to talk about just fishing etiquette, and it is a really something that's been brought up. One of my viewers actually emailed me and asked me the other day to do a show on it, and we had something happen to us. If you noticed that video yesterday, how somebody just came up right there in our fishing hole. They were about 15 yards from us, came up right, and they were from us. They were a little ways from us when they first came up, and then they saw us catching those redfish, and they moved over right next to us. And it was just a beautiful situation where we had it by ourselves and all, and they just started throwing in the same hole. And
so what would you consider the polite distance for boat fishing?
I'm glad you asked that question. Captain Paramore was on here too, and we talked about in scalloping. I'll go to that first because it happens a lot in scalloping. A football field distance, in a large body of water like a bay. Now, if you're fishing up in a lagoon or something, you need to stay, to me, 20 or 25 yards away from somebody. But irregardless, you just don't fish in the same hole. I could be 25 yards away and just throw them in from the other side and still fish the same hole. So you just don't do that. I can remember, I was telling Scott Lindsay and I talked about this the other day, and I can remember as a kid, my brother, we were little, we were on the boat with Dad on the Ocklawatina River, and we'd go around, to go to some of those fishing spots, and we'd go around the bend. I can remember just plain as day, and we were planning to go there by an old stump and all where we fishing. And somebody was there, and Daddy said, all right, they got it first. We're going to move on. Just common sense and courtesy. And we never, ever thought about fishing next to somebody. It didn't even cross our mind. And now people will just come up to you.
They will get right in your back door.
Yeah, what about at the pier? What's the situation at the pier?
The pier's interesting because you got a lot of different people. Some people that know that and they're very polite. And then sometimes you get some kids in there that they see you catch a fish and they run right over to you and they want to stand right next to you. And there'll be times when I'll see someone catching someone or something down the way, and I might mosey on down towards that different section, but I won't go running right to them and standing right next to them and doing that. Just that, and there's been a lot of it actually happened to me yesterday on accident, but cutoffs where I'm using braid, and a lot of people out there use mono. A lot of people use braid as well, but where fish cross, and I try and avoid that as much as possible. But in this instance, it didn't work out, and our lines touched, and as soon as my braid touched his mono, it was snap for him, and he lost his fish. Luckily, it was just bonita.
Okay.
But stuff like that, just trying to work it out with each other, and understanding that tangled lines do happen. all the time, and you just got to have patience with that.
And that's the difference between pure fishing and boat. When you have your boat and come up there next to somebody, there's just no excuse.
There is not any excuse for that. That's very easily avoidable.
Yeah.
While on the pier, not so much.
It's just downright rude. I was telling, I said, probably we should just, when they come up, instead of us keeping on catching fish, we'll probably just take a break and eat some crackers and eat a can of Viennas and some crackers or something. But and it's common courtesy. So we're going to do a show on it. I'm going to have
That's good.
Captain Justin Leake's going to come on. He's had this, ironically, had the same kind of thing happen to him recently, where they were fishing and they had some pompano cornered up, and his boat just come flying up.
That happened with me with some sheephead.
Who did it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's so we'll talk about that next week. Anyway, I wanted John to go in on it. What about the on the pier though? Everybody's been catching some fish and all.
Yes, pier has been on fire.
Okay.
I mean, all over the place. We had about a couple of 9 to 10 pound bluefish.
Wow, that's
caught,
a big one.
Actually, yes, out of the surf and off of the end from people fishing for kings.
Wow.
And that's some of the biggest bluefish I've ever seen out of the Gulf waters. I mean, they looked like Atlantic-sized bluefish.
Someone else called and told me the same thing about the huge bluefish
I mean,
that came through.
enormous.
They said it this way like 20 years ago they saw some huge ones, and now this year, some really big ones too. That's interesting. On freshwater, I got an email from Marcus Parrish. He saw his first lightning bug Wednesday night. He said his granddaddy always told him 2 weeks from the sighting of that first lightning bug, freshwater fishing, fly fishing would really pick up. So Marcus, we're going to count on you to be right on that. So the lightning bugs are showing up, along with the mosquitoes and everything else.
Goodness,
John, we're going to give away our final
let's
rod
do
and
it.
reel. Let's show that.
Sure Strike.
Oh, we already got some mono on it.
Yep, already filled with mono. Looks like maybe 10 pound test on there.
Okay, ideal setup. Folks, this weekend is going to be some really good fishing. Let's get a pickle jar. You know what? Let me do this. All these names were sent in last 2 days.
Quite a few.
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to fold these up, and we're going to add those in there. Okay. I'm going to start to spread them out. And if you win once or twice, if you win twice, that's it for the year. I just want to spread these out, throw them in there. And now this is what our final rod and reel. Now we'll do this again this summer. I'm gonna get some more rod and reels this summer when I can find them on sale and buy a bunch of them. Okay. So you're gonna let me do it this time. You're gonna see if I can get some more there. Okay. I'm gonna go way down here at the bottom. This person. This is from Panama City, Wilhelmina Swearingen. Is that how you pronounce that?
I think so. That's as good as I can.
Wilhelmina Swearingen from Panama City. Congratulations. You are now get a rod and reel, and we need a rod and reel, and this is in April. Okay. Good job on that. Now, while we have it out, we might as well go and draw for our Tarpon Rock Seafood.
That's what I was thinking.
Let's go ahead and
You
do
want
that.
to?
Yeah. Now this will be for $20 gift certificate to Tarpon Rock Seafood. $20 gift certificate to Tarpon Rock Seafood. And this winner had one before, Mary Prescott from Gracefield. $20 in April. I wrote it down right here. Good job, Mary. When you come down from Gracefield, what about Tarpon Rock Seafood?
And red snapper.
Big red snapper.
Big red snapper. Terry Richards from Southport.
Terry Richards. All right. Very good. Terry Richards from Southport. Good job. Red snapper. Know Terry well. They live right down the road from me. They watch the show every day. Good viewer. Terry and Lynn Richards. Appreciate it. All right.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
And let's get back with the fishing report.
Good deal. Be right back. Welcome back, folks. Welcome to our famous Friday fishing forecast brought to us by Tarpon Rock Seafood. And we got to get our time also brought to us by your good buddy.
Yes, Mr. Mark Cowart.
Mr. Mark Cowart. And our times today, we're looking at 1:03 to 3:03 in the morning and 1:32 to 3:32 after lunch. 1:32 to 3:32. Good job, Mark. I'm trying to zoom in. We want to find the piers. Okay, we're going to do some pier fishing first. Okay,
there it is. It's right there.
So tell us.
You just missed it.
Right.
There it is.
Right there. That's the county.
No.
Right there. Is that it?
No, that's not.
That's the old pier. We look. Okay.
Keep going.
We'll find it. Go ahead, but go and start talking about the pier, Bobby.
Well, on the pier fishing, I guess we'll start in the shallows. There have been a ton of the pompano. I mean, in the shallows right there, they have been all over the place. So
okay, there you go, right there.
Whenever you're walking in on the pier, right here on the east side of it, you will see all the people just lined up down the way, and they're waiting for it. Out here, in this area right here, is a deep hole. The sandbar runs along right here, and you'll see it. And then right here, you won't see that shadowy area, and that's a deep hole. And they will shoot out of there, and they'll come up into here, and they'll go all around the pier looking for that bait, and then they'll shoot back out.
That's a great shot of the sandbars and a little deep trough right there. And you're right, they'll stay in that trough, and they'll come back and forth in it.
Yep.
You see like a little flash.
Yep. And sometimes, I mean, you'll get them confused with other fish. That's happened to me, but for me, it's any fish that's of decent size that swims out there, I'll cast on them.
Okay,
Might as well.
On the end of the pier, I'll zoom back to the end of the pier. These guys are really looking for the cobia and the kings right on the end.
This is going to be right up in here. And then also in the shallows, though, lately we've been seeing a ton of huge jacks.
Okay.
The jack crevalle have been coming in, and they're so much fun to watch. They just, they're circling. They just circle around those bait balls, making them smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you see them tearing them through there. That's been really neat.
Well, I want to do, you got to keep in mind that John's been fishing the pier, for quite a bit of time.
Been spending some time out there.
So I wanted him to give you a good report on that. So if you have any questions on it, so give John a call. But the pier's really turned out well for John. You've had a good.
I have.
Good semester on the pier. Okay, let's go in here to North Bay. We went red fishing for North Bay, in North Bay for redfish this past weekend, and we call it dock fishing and all. And then the dock fishing that we get to do all up in these docks, all up through here in North Bay, and also up here in this flats. If you don't find any by the docks, anywhere from Pretty Bayou all the way up here to the old Lynn Haven Ballpark on the east side here is where we like to concentrate on dock fishing. But if not, then they're really good. But the redfish bite has been excellent right now. So now I also got to report Mexico Beach. Now, you have anything else at Panama City Beach, or any more report on that?
Off of the end of the pier, we have been seeing a lot of rolling tarpon. I actually saw it 4 times yesterday, and they're big tarpon. They're not they've got some size to them. And we've had one guy hook up, and it took him out a good 300 yards, jumped 4 or 5 times, and finally popped off.
I just talked to Seaquarters Marina. Ironically, just talked to Kim at Seaquarters Marina, and she said they caught the first tarpon yesterday, and it was a big tarpon they caught and released down there in Carabel. So that's a good sign. You see tarpon up here. So this is really the first week I think we can say we've seen some tarpon and actually caught some. Really, here in Panama City Beach, I can't. The beach fishing been good, but the bait fishing been excellent. And the Spanish mackerel still in there. Had people tell me, they've really, had some really good luck on catching Spanish mackerel. And the pompano fishing off the jetties has been excellent, and it's just been some really good fishing here locally. I do want to mention freshwater now. Kelly Lowry, one of our loyal viewers up there at Stifler Nugley. You ever heard that name?
No.
That's an old Indian name up there around what's called the River Styx. Okay. But it's up there northern part toward Bristol, up in Liberty County. And Kelly's an excellent fisherman. He's a former quarterback at Florida State and just lives down there on the river and has a great time. He's saying they're not catching many fish because the river's been really high. So the freshwater fishing from Liberty County, Calhoun County, all the way down into Gulf County has been slow. But it's going to bust loose pretty soon. I can promise you. In about another 2 weeks, I think it's going to bust loose. We're going to start looking at a full moon in May.
Yep. I
always remember the full moon in May. We'll talk more about that later, but that's going to be on part of your final exam, one of the best fishing times. Okay. Blair Morgan had a good report from St. Joe. He said, on the phone Wednesday, Cape San Blas is looking good, and we're going to try to go there today. Try to do some fishing at Cape San Blas. You think you're going to be able to get off?
I don't know. We'll see.
You see if the ball's going to get off. One of the things, one of the big things, we want to try to find some sand fleas. Again, that's going to be the best bait for the pompano, the sand
I've heard some people catching them.
Okay,
they're definitely
sand
in.
fleas. I've heard Scott Lynch again told me that he's heard some people catching some sand fleas. Okay, Mexico Beach. We just showed you a picture earlier of some Pompano, Mexico Beach yesterday. So it's been and the cobia bite. The early part of the week was good. Now, the last couple of days, it's been a good season for cobia. And you saw that 80-pounder we just showed you. That was on Monday of this week, and some other guys caught some Tuesday. And over the weekend, it was pretty good.
We've been seeing them constantly on the pier.
You still seeing them?
Yep. The past couple of days, they've been small. I mean, one was right at 33 and released, and then there was a couple that were spot on at 34. We haven't had a big one caught. We had a 60-pounder guesstimation seen, but he didn't eat. And surprisingly, one day they were only eating cigar minnows.
Really?
And oh man, were those cobia fishermen getting angry whenever they would spot them and they would try and catch them, and they just swam over and ate someone's king bait. That was funny.
I did get a good report over in Walton County on the Choctaw River. They were doing a good job on the mullet. They're starting to snatch hook mullet over there now, going down Blacks Creek in an area called the Umbrella. A guy called me one day this week, and over the weekend they really did a good job snatch hooking mullet. And of course, we talked about it before. You just throw out dog food and all, and let them gather it up and all. But we're going to start wrapping it up. Of course, always thanks to Tarpon Dock Seafood. And if you don't catch any fish, always run by Tarpon Dock Seafood and get some good and fresh.
Yeah.
So on your final weekend, you're going to try to do some serious fishing?
Yep. I'm heading out the door. I'm going fishing.
Well, I got to go to work, and John's got to go fishing. What's wrong with that picture?
I don't know.
And folks, as always, now we always want to encourage you to take some time this weekend and get outdoors. If you can't be fishing, it could be anything in outdoors. Just getting outdoors and doing something.
Yep.
And you'll be graduating a week from tomorrow.
Oh man, I am graduating.
That's hard. That's hard to believe.
Oh goodness.
All right. Thanks, John.
No problem.
All right, buddy. All right, listen, folks. Again, thank you all for watching the show. You do something good for somebody today, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.